So this state A corresponds to a, hello, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this
Yes, sir.
state A
Yes, sir.
corresponds, this state A corresponds to the pressure P1 and it corresponds to the volume V1. That means when you have the information about the pressure and the volume, then you can specify this state. Similarly, you can specify the state you have the information about the pressure and the volume. So this is well clear to you. Now there are some properties like pressure. So pressure is a property which is depending on the state only. Even if we do think of temperature, then temperature is a function, is a property which depends on the state. It doesn't depend on the process which has been carried. Now let us consider that a certain thermodynamic process has been carried out from A to B in this direction. So let me draw a continuous curve. So this is the process A to B. Okay. And similarly, a process B to A have been also carried out, so that a thermodynamic cycle is now created. A thermodynamic cycle means it will always return to the initial state. Okay. So here, if in this process A to B, there is some heat interaction, if there is some heat interaction, then this heat interaction would always depend on this path which it has followed. If there is some amount of work interaction, then it will be also dependent on the path. So please always, I have already told you to remember this information, that area under PV curve, area under PV curve always denotes the work done. Okay. So if this is your area, then this is the work done. So this is the work done. Now you consider that a process like this has happened. A process like this has happened. Again, you can see these two states are same. The states are A and B. So this is invariant. The states are not changing. But the area under the state has changed. The area under the states has changed. That means the work transfer has changed. So work transfer always depends on the path. Similarly, heat transfer would also depend on the path. We can show you, but to analyze heat transfer, we need a different thermodynamic diagram, which we call as TS diagram. Uh, I haven't discussed the concept of S. It is called as entropy, but always just to remember this TS diagram, the area under the TS diagram gives you the amount of heat transfer. So let us consider this is your state A and this is your state B. Similarly, let us consider a different process has been carried out from A to B. Okay. So here you can understand this is the area under uh, this is the area under for the first process, and for the second one you will find the area has changed. It is like this. So work and heat are always path functions. Okay. So that it means it depends on the path which the system has followed. Okay. Now why these paths are being created? These paths are being created because there are several thermodynamic processes which can be carried out. So depending on the nature of the process, depending on the nature of the thermodynamic process, these paths can be different. Okay. So let us show you some important thermodynamic processes which are uh, which happen in general interactions. So depending on the relationship between pressure and volume, depending on the relationship between pressure and volume, these four processes can be created. So first of all, you can see this is a process where pressure is remaining constant. Okay, so this is an example of isobaric process. So isobaric means pressure constant process. Okay, why this isobaric process is important? If you remember the diesel engine, or if you remember the diesel cycle, the combustion process in case of diesel cycle happens in an isobaric way. So it is important to understand the characteristics of an isobaric process. So for an isobaric process, P is equal to constant. Okay, so for an isobaric process, P is equal to constant. Similarly, let us see this. Here it is written as isovolumic. Generally, we use isochoric as the word, which means volume is constant here. So we are referring to this diagram. Okay, so here you can see a straight line which is perpendicular to the axis of this volume. Okay, so this is the constant volume line or the isochoric process. Here the volume remains constant, and again you can, if you remember, then the combustion in petrol engine, it is in constant volume heat addition. Okay, so combustion in diesel engine is in isobaric way, and the combustion in petrol engine happens in a isochoric way. So you need to understand both these processes. Again, coming to the next one, the adiabatic process. Now adiabatic process means there will be no heat interaction, no heat interaction in adiabatic process. That means there will be no heat transfer allowed. Okay, so adiabatic process has a certain relationship between pressure and volume, and it is followed like this: PV to the power gamma equal to constant. PV to the power gamma is equal to constant. So that means if we consider this is your process 1, state 1, and this is your state 2, then for this process you can write P1 V1 to the power gamma equal to P2 V2 to the power gamma. So I think the second year students uh, who are currently have been promoted to third year, they are well known about these facts. So it is a recapitulation kind of thing going on. But still, this needs to be remembered because it will be very useful when you will be starting to study your automobile engines part. Okay, because the initial part will be based on auto cycle, diesel cycle, and dual cycle also. Okay, so for an adiabatic process, this is P1 V1 to the power gamma equal to P2 V2 to the power gamma. What is this gamma? Gamma is the ratio of specific heat. That means Cp divided by Cv. Cp means it is the specific heat at constant pressure, and Cp means if you want to increase the temperature of any substance by 1 degree Celsius, okay, when the mass is kept, mass is 1 kg, then the amount of heat transfer that is required to cause this temperature change, that will be called as the specific heat. So that means specific heat is the amount of heat transfer required to cause a change of 1 degree Celsius increment of a 1 kg substance. Okay, keeping the pressure constant. Similarly, if you want to increase the temperature of any substance by 1 degree Celsius for 1 kg of mass, keeping the volume constant, then the heat required will be called as specific heat at constant volume. Okay,
So this is Cp and this is Cv. Generally for air, because air is the working fluid for both the petrol and diesel engine, we need to remember this value. So gamma is taken as 1.4 for both uh, in the cases of petrol engine as well as diesel engine, because gamma is dependent on the material. Okay, so it is dependent on the material which is used as the working fluid. In case of petrol engine and diesel engine, air is the working fluid, so we consider the value of gamma as 1.4. So this information should be remembered always. Then we come on to the process isothermal. Isothermal means it is a constant temperature process. T equal to constant. T equal to constant. So if T is equal to constant, and if we know the laws of ideal gases, then we can understand the simple fact PV is equal to RT. You remember this thing? PV is equal to RT for any ideal gas. Okay, air is always considered as an ideal gas when we are doing the analysis of an engine. Okay, so this is a interesting assumption which we need to understand. Though in case of petrol engine, both air and fuel mixture is compressed, still when we do the analysis in case of Otto cycle, we consider air as the only substance. This is an interesting fact. This is an important fact to understand, because this is the difference between the real case and the practical case. In reality, what is happening? Both air and fuel mixture are being compressed. But when we are doing the same analysis for Otto cycle, we are taking air as the working fluid only. Okay. So this is an interesting fact and you should understand this concept. Now, coming to the discussion that we are doing. So for an ideal gas, PV is equal to RT. If T is constant, you know that R is the universal gas constant. So what happens? PV becomes constant. Okay, so for an isothermal process, when the substance is air or any ideal gas, you can also write PV equal to constant. So for an ideal gas, you can write the isothermal process as PV equal to constant or T equal to constant. For any substance, you can use this formula. Isothermal means temperature will remain constant. For ideal processes, that means for ideal gases, you can use this formula and this formula also. You can use any one of them because both of them are true. Okay, so these are the various processes which we generally interact during our analysis of automotive engines. Okay, now coming on to the discussions of internal energy. So in the previous class, you remember that we had a discussion on internal energy. So why you are trying to discuss internal energy? Because any system has some amount of energy always stored within it, and we have told you in the previous class that it is dependent on the temperature. So internal energy du, you can write the change of internal energy, because we cannot measure the absolute value of energy, we can only measure the change of energy. So we have written du instead of writing u. So du, the change of internal energy, will be dependent only on the temperature. So if a substance, if a system has its temperature greater than 0 Kelvin, then it will always have some amount of internal energy stored within the system. Okay, is that clear? So do you have any questions regarding this discussion till now, what we have discussed? Sure,
হ্যাঁ স্যার, আমার একটা প্রশ্ন ছিল।
you can ask.
আগের স্লাইডে একটু যাবেন?
What? Please repeat.
হ্যাঁ, আগের স্লাইডে একটু যাবেন, আগের স্লাইডে।
regarding the processes, this one.
হ্যাঁ, রিগার্ডিং দ্য
Okay.
প্রসেসেস। দিস ওয়ান স্যার, আইসোক্লোরিক এটা কার ক্ষেত্রে ইউজ হয় বলেছিলেন? মানে আইসোবারিকটা বলে তো ডিজেল ইঞ্জিনের ক্ষেত্রে।
হ্যাঁ, in case
আইসোক্লোরিক
of
যেটা ভলিউম কনস্ট্যান্ট যেটা।
just a minute.
ওকে স্যার, ওকে স্যার।
So heat addition for diesel cycle is done in an isobaric way. That means when the heat transfer or the heat transfer is happening because of the combustion process, it is done in an isobaric way. Okay.
ওকে স্যার, বাট এটা তো ডিজেল ক্ষেত্রে হয় তো, ডিজেল ইঞ্জিনের ক্ষেত্রে।
Yes, it is for diesel engine. But if you see for auto cycle or petrol engine, then this will be like this. The diagram will be like this. So here the heat addition takes place. So here for petrol engine, it is in a constant volume way. Okay. So the only, so interestingly, the only difference between, so if you see from the thermodynamic diagram point of view, it is very easy to remember. The only difference between Otto cycle and diesel cycle is that the heat transfer or the heat addition takes place in a constant pressure way for diesel cycle, and for an Otto cycle it takes place in an isochoric way. This is the only difference. Except this process, all the other process are same. So if you are able to remember this difference only, then you can draw this diagram anytime. Okay.
ওকে স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ, ক্লিয়ার হয়ে গেছে।
So what we are discussing? So we are discussing that internal energy. So internal energy is a function of temperature only, and if any substance or any system has a temperature greater than 0 Kelvin, mind it, it is 0 Kelvin. So 0 Kelvin is the absolute zero temperature. If any substance has temperature greater than 0 Kelvin, then it will have some amount of internal energy stored within it. Now depending on the nature of system, so here you can see monoatomic gas. Monoatomic gas means, can you give an example of monoatomic gas?
Sir, argon, helium.
স্যার
Hydrogen, yes. So all the non-reactive gases, okay, like argon, helium, neon, they are monoatomic gas, and these molecular gases can be oxygen, nitrogen, ozone, anything. Okay. So even carbon dioxide. Okay. So you can see in this diagram, for monoatomic gas, you can see there is only translational kinetic energy. What do we mean by translational kinetic energy? Can anyone say?
Help, sir.
সেটা
কি বলেন, ট্রান্সলেশন আর কাইনেটিক এনার্জি?
Yes.
তো ট্রান্সলেশন তো স্যার ওই স্ট্রেট লাইনে যদি হয় মোশনটা, তাহলে আর কাইনেটিক এনার্জি তো হাফ mv স্কয়ার তাহলে।
Exactly. So আমরা যদি if we consider that some amount of gas is stored within a container, and these are the molecules. So we have considered monoatomic gas. Okay. Monoatomic gas in this sense means that it will contain only a single molecule. Okay. I had wrongly interpreted the word monoatomic. Monoatomic can be anything. If it has a single molecule, then it will be treated as a monoatomic gas. Now, if you consider CO2 or if you consider SO2, then it will have it will be considered as a molecular gas. Okay. So when the gases have a single atom, then it will be called as the monoatomic gas. Okay. So you can see that there are various number of molecules, and when, so do you know the concept of Brownian motion? That means the gases are, the molecules of the gases are moving in a way, in a haphazard way. They are colliding with each other every time. So because of these collisions, what will happen? They are always moving in a straight line. What Debojyoti was saying, that they will be moving in a straight line and they will be colliding with each other, so that they will share or they will interact their kinetic energy with them. Since they are in motion, they will obviously have kinetic energy. And if these gas molecules go on hitting the wall, okay, if these gas molecules go on hitting the wall, then we can treat this force which is exerted by the gas molecules as pressure. So this is the atomic explanation or the molecular explanation of pressure. Now, what is the molecular explanation of temperature? The average kinetic energy is called as the temperature. Okay, so for an monoatomic gas, you can understand the kinetic energy or the average kinetic energy is the the average kinetic energy can be interpreted as the temperature. So average kinetic energy is nothing but temperature. And again, you can see the monoatomic gases have only translational kinetic energy. So now you can understand the relationship between internal energy and temperature. Can you understand? So for a monoatomic gas, it is very clear. If this monoatomic gas has the translational kinetic energy as its internal energy, and this average kinetic energy is nothing but the temperature, then it is obvious, it is easy to understand that the change of internal energy will only depend on temperature. It will be always a function of temperature only. Is that clear? Do you have any questions?
স্যার এই জায়গাটা একটু আরেকবার বুঝিয়ে দিন না।
Please repeat what I was saying.
স্যার বলছি এই জায়গাটা একটু আরেকবার রিপিট করবেন, যেটা একটুখানি
Sure,
সেটা বোঝাতে।
sure. Since the see, these gases are moving in a random way. That means these molecules can move in any possible direction. Okay, they can move in any possible direction. If they are moving in a random way, then there are different molecules. So after moving a little, it will hit this molecule. So if a body is moving, if a molecule is moving, then what is the energy by which it can move? It is nothing but the kinetic energy. So if you are able to calculate the average kinetic energy of all the molecules, then it will give you the temperature of the body, of the gas. Okay, so now you can understand. Now the concept lies here. Monoatomic gases have only translational kinetic energy as their internal energy. That means if the translational kinetic energy goes on increasing, then the monoatomic gas would have higher internal energy. This is the important thing. Again, the average kinetic energy is nothing but the temperature of the monoatomic gas. So if you go on increasing the average kinetic energy, then the temperature will increase. So what is the fact here? So the average kinetic energy is same as it is Translational kinetic energy, the only difference is that this kinetic energy is happening because of the translation motion. Translation motion means it is moving in a straight line. Okay, so it is moving in a straight line. Okay, they can move in any possible directions, but it will be moving in a straight line, and this motion is called as translation. Okay, so average kinetic energy and translation kinetic energy, they are basically same. This translation kinetic energy, we are calculating it for a single molecule, and if we calculate the translation kinetic energy for all the molecules, and if we find an average of it, then this will give us temperature. So average of all translation and kinetic energy is nothing but the temperature. And again, here we have seen that translation and kinetic energy is the only internal energy. So you can understand the change of internal energy would always depend on the temperature. Okay, so internal energy is a function of temperature only. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay, so here you can see liquids or solids have higher internal energy compared to monoatomic gas or molecular gas, because they have this potential energy from the intermolecular forces. Okay, for a solid,
আচ্ছা স্যার, বলছিলাম যেরকম ট্রান্সলেশনাল কাইনেটিক এনার্জি ইজ টোটাল ইকুয়াল টু টোটাল ইন্টারনাল এনার্জি, ওকে, মানে ইন্টারনাল এনার্জি দিচ্ছে, সেরকম আপনি যদি অ্যাভারেজ কাইনেটিক এনার্জি বার করি, তাহলে সে রেসপেক্টে আপনার টোটাল মানে টোটাল ইন্টারনাল এনার্জি তাহলে বেরোবে।
total internal energy, no.
হ্যাঁ,
See, suppose there are 4 molecules in a gas. Okay, 4 molecules. First one has K1 as its internal energy, translational kinetic energy. Second one has K2. Third one has K3. And the fourth one has K4. So K1 plus K2 plus K3 plus K4. This is the total internal energy.
okay.
Okay, and if
Okay,
you
sir.
divide this by 4, then you will get the temperature. Then you will get temperature. Now,
Okay,
do
sir.
you understand the difference?
Okay, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So because of the attraction forces that exist between the liquid or the solid molecules, this is why they have comparatively higher internal energy compared to monoatomic gases or molecular gases. Okay, because of the attraction forces that exist between the neighboring molecules. This is why they have this higher internal energy. Okay, so you know this information, right? The intermolecular attraction forces for solids is the highest, then it is the second highest for liquids, and it is minimum for the gases. So this is a school level thing, you know these things. Now we are coming to the most important analysis, the first law of thermodynamics. So what is to be understood here? It is, always remember that first law of thermodynamics is nothing but the energy conservation principle. That means the energy which you will provide, you will get it back by some another way. Okay, now the question is, now it is a different question that if you are able to use it or not, but you will get the same amount of energy. So there is a difference, there is a sharp difference between the energy which you can use and the energy which you can obtain after the interaction process. Okay, like here what you want to understand is, so please see this first law. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay. So here you can see a system which is insulated. Okay, that means there is no heat transfer possible from the surroundings. So if you consider this as your system, if you consider this one as your system, then this is the surroundings. Okay, so no heat transfer is allowed from the surroundings. Okay, so actually why there are two diagrams? First I need to say this. First law is different for cyclic processes and other all processes. Okay, for cyclic processes you will see the interpretation of first law is little bit different. The way which we describe the first law, the mathematical interpretation is little bit different, but if it is for any other process, then the interpretation will be little bit different. So there are chances that one may get confused why there are two statements. So this is why I need to explain this. So here you have a system which is insulated. That means no heat transfer is possible. Now if you go on, here you can see that this is a paddle wheel, right? So that means if you go on releasing this weight, then this will start a rotation. Okay, so if you go on releasing this weight, this wheel will start rotating. Now this is a gas, this is some amount of gas contained within the cylinder, or you can also think of some liquid contained in the cylinder. So if there is a rotational motion within the liquid, what will happen? The temperature of the liquid will go on increasing, right? If there is stirring action, suppose you are stirring something, if you are stirring the liquid, then the temperature of the liquid will go on increasing, right? Is it clear? Is it understandable? Hello?
একবার একটু বলবেন?
আচ্ছা, সাপোজ ইউ আর রিলিজিং দিস ওয়েট, এই ওয়েটটাকে আমি রিমুভ করলাম, মানে একটু একটু if you release this weight, then what will happen? This stirrer or this wheel will start rotating inside, right?
Yes sir.
Is this mechanism clear?
Yes sir, clear.
Yes sir.
So if you go on stirring the liquid for some time, then the temperature would always increase.
Yes sir.
Okay, so let us consider initially it was at Ti degree Celsius and it became Tf degree Celsius. So if this is the change in temperature, if this is the change in temperature, then why this temperature is changing? Because you have supplied some amount of work. So surroundings is giving some amount of work to the system, so that there is an internal energy change. Okay, and because of this internal energy change, there is a temperature increase. And if you calculate the changes in temperature, and if you try to find out the heat transfer between these two temperature levels, then how you can calculate it? Q is equal to M into CV into dt, because the volume is kept fixed. So this is the way by which you can calculate the heat transfer. If this dt can be written as TF minus Ti. Okay, so TF minus Ti. So now the question is, if this heat transfer is possible, Then how this heat transfer can be found? What is the source of this heat transfer? That is the question. The source of the heat transfer is nothing but this work transfer into the system. The work which we have provided to the system, that has caused this temperature change, and because of this temperature change, heat transfer can be understood. Okay, and if you calculate the work transfer, then you will see this work transfer is exactly equal to the heat transfer. Okay, so they are equal in magnitude. Okay, so this was a famous experiment which was done by James Prescott Joule, and he did this experiment for different fluids. He did this experiment for different gases. Okay, he always found that the summation of work transfer is equal to summation of all the heat transfers. Okay, so when we are dealing with a cyclic process, okay, so when we are dealing with a cyclic process, that means why this cyclic process is being created? Suppose the temperature had increased from Ti to Tf. Now let us consider that we create a certain mechanism by which the temperature is being reduced, or we remove the insulation. You can consider that we remove the insulation. Okay, so if we remove the insulation, the temperature will become same as Ti. There will be a heat transfer. So therefore an opposite process from 2 to 1 can be carried out. So if you consider this process as Ti, the state points as Ti and Tf, this one, then if you go on removing the insulation, there will be heat transfer to the surroundings, so that you can write this Q2 to 1. So initially what was given here? It was given as work transfer. So for the process 1 to 2, work was given to the system, which created this change in internal energy and consequently the change in temperatures. And if you go on removing the insulation, then this heat would be transferred to the surroundings, thus creating this process, so that a thermodynamic cycle is being created. Now if you find out the magnitude, you can easily find out for this work done. You can do it by W equal to mgh. Okay, and I have already shown you how the heat transfer can be calculated. So you will see that this work done and this heat transfer are always equal for a cyclic process. So for any cyclic process, or for any closed system undergoing a thermodynamic cycle, will always follow this law. That means whenever you are dealing with Otto cycle or diesel cycle, this formula will be always valid. Okay, suppose in case of Otto cycle, what is happening here? You have 4 separate processes, right? 1 to 2, that is the compression process, and 2 to 3 is the heat additional process. So for each and individual process, each and individual process, you will see there is some amount of work and heat transfer. So if you are able to calculate all the work transfers, that means if you find out W1 to 2 plus W2 to 3 plus W3 to 4, that means you are calculating the sum of all work transfers. So now you have calculated this, which is called as summation of W. Okay, it means the sum of all work transfers. And similarly, if you do the same thing for the heat transfer, that means if you calculate this summation of Q, then you will find that the summation of W is equal to summation of Q for all processes. Okay, for not all processes, for Otto cycle and diesel cycle, because they are undergoing a thermodynamic cycle. So whenever we are dealing with a thermodynamic cycle, the work transfers, the sum of all work transfers would be equal to sum of all heat transfers. So now, do you have any question?
Right? Okay. So let us move on. So this is an understanding
Which we call as first law of thermodynamics for systems which are undergoing a thermodynamic cycle. That means for Otto cycle and diesel cycle, this is a basic law which is being followed. Now, why this process is important? Why this statement is given to you? So, this is the statement which is valid for an individual process. Suppose you need to understand the validity of, if you need to understand or you need to validate the first law of thermodynamics for the process 1 to 2. Okay, for the single process, mind it. Previously, we were discussing for all the processes or the cycle. Now we are concentrating on the single process only, 1 to 2. Then if you want to calculate the interactions of heat, work and change of internal energy, then you should be using this formula. So this statement is valid for a single process. This process can be anything, but this law would be valid for any process. But when it is a cycle, when we are considering a thermodynamic cycle like Otto or diesel or Carnot, then for all the processes, the work transfer, the net work transfer would be equal to net heat transfer. Okay, so the first law of thermodynamics states that if you transfer heat, some amount of heat, say dq, what will happen? It will give you some amount of work, and there are some compulsions also. You cannot completely convert the heat which you are giving. Okay, there will be some amount of heat which will be lost, which will be rejected. You cannot completely convert the heat which you are giving as an input. So what will happen? What will happen to the rest of energy? Because energy needs to be conserved. So it will increase the internal energy of the system. So this is how the first law of thermodynamics is understood. So you are giving, suppose 100 joules of heat. Okay, so you are getting 70 joules of work. So you would be lucky enough to, if you are able to obtain 70 joules, because that will give an efficiency of 70%. So this doesn't happen regularly, and the rest of the energy, the 30 joules, that will be stored in the system. Increasing the internal energy by 30 joules. Okay, so the fundamental difference between these two statements is, this is valid for any individual process, and this statement, the summation of all work transfers is equal to summation of all heat transfer. This statement is valid for a thermodynamic cycle only. Okay, is that clear? Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. So now we would be introducing the second law of thermodynamics. So then what is the requirement of second law of thermodynamics? Can anyone say what is the requirement of second law of thermodynamics? Why second law of thermodynamics has been created? Can anyone say? Please give some answers. That would That would be better if we go
স্যার,
on. Yes.
হ্যালো স্যার, স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
হ্যাঁ।
স্যার second, in the first law of thermodynamics, we are getting the amount of work and heat, but the direction in which it is working or we are obtaining is obtained from the second law. That is not happening in the first law. The direction of heat or work.
Yes. 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 That means the feasibility of the thermodynamic process. Suppose here you can see this image over here. This car is moving with a velocity of v. Okay. Then what happens? Something or someone comes in front of this car and it presses its brake. Okay. Then the car comes to the rest position of rest, and there is some amount of heat transfer because of the friction between the surface and the tires. Okay. Now the question is, so here we can see kinetic energy is being converted into thermal energy. So is the opposite possible? That means what do I mean by the opposite? So here kinetic energy of the wheels is being converted into the thermal energy, right? So this is the conversion here. So if someone says that I would like to convert the process in the opposite way, that means what I will do, I will reject this heat out of this surface. Somehow I will take the heat which is being transferred to the surface and I will cause a motion to this car. Is the opposite possible? Is the opposite possible? Can anyone say? Suppose 100 kilojoules of kinetic energy were there and 100 kilojoules of thermal energy has been generated. So now someone proposes that I will take this 100 kilojoules of heat out of the surface and I will make this car move again. Is it possible?
Sir, I think no.
Right. It is not possible. It is absolutely not possible. So see, if anyone suggests that I will take this 100 kilojoule of heat out of the system and I will try to give a 100 kilojoule of kinetic energy. So mathematically and from the point of view of thermodynamics first law, it is right, because the input and the output which you are giving and which you are receiving, they are same. So from the point of view of first law of thermodynamics, this is absolutely correct. There is nothing problem in that. There is no problem in that, right? But from the second point of view of second law of thermodynamics, this process cannot occur. The process which is happening because of the brake which is applied and it is creating this friction between the surface and the wheel. So this process cannot be reversed. You cannot get the same effect if you reverse the process. Okay, so there are some thermodynamic processes which cannot be reversed, which cannot happen in the reverse direction. Again, so this is a category of thermodynamic process which you need to understand. Again, there are some processes which can be reversed, right? Like heat is flowing from a higher temperature to a lower temperature. So this is the general consideration. You know, heat always flows from a high temperature to a low temperature. But can the opposite happen? Is the opposite possible?
No sir, possible নয় যদি না ওয়ার্ক বাইরে থেকে কাজ করা হয়।
Why it is not possible? Right. So that means this process is possible, but you need to apply some external work.
Yes sir, external work.
Yes, right. What is the principle of heat pump or heater? It will keep your room temperatures as it is. The surroundings will have a temperature of say -5 degrees Celsius, but your room room temperature will be maintained at 10 degrees Celsius. How it is possible? Because it is possible only when you are giving some external output. So there are some processes which naturally flow in a certain direction, like water always flows from a higher elevation to a lower elevation. But the opposite also possible. You need to use a water pump so that water can be pumped from the ground level to your top of the top floor. So the process can be reversed, but you need to apply some external work. Okay, so these are the basic categories of thermodynamic processes. So the problem of first law is that it cannot predict the direction of the process. What Debjyoti said is absolutely correct. So you need to understand the direction of the process. You need to understand the feasibility of the process or the practicality of the process. Is it really going to happen in this process? Yes, the energy conservation holds for this process, but is the process really feasible? That is the question, and that question is only answered by the second law of thermodynamics. And since we are dealing with heat and work, we need to understand the heat transferred will be always greater than that of, no equal to sign, only greater than sign. So the heat transfer as input will be always greater than the work which we will receive as output. That means heat cannot be completely converted into work. Okay, so for a heat engine where heat or thermal energy is your input, you cannot get 100% efficiency. Okay, so regardless of the frictional factors, regardless of everything, it is a law, it is a natural restriction. Heat cannot be completely converted into work. That means any heat engine, it is you consider it as frictionless heat engine, it will never have an efficiency equal to 100% because it is a natural restriction. Okay, heat cannot be never completely converted into work. Okay, whereas the opposite can happen. This work can be greater than equal to Q. Okay, that means work can be completely converted into heat. So there are some categories of energies which cannot be completely converted into other format. So this is an example of low grade energy. Okay, this is an example of low grade. Whereas work is termed as high grade. That means high grade energies can be completely converted into low grade energies, whereas low grade energies can never be completely converted into high grade energy. Okay, so this is a natural restriction which is being always followed, and because of this restriction, any heat engine can never have 100% efficiency. So when we'll be asking this question, can any heat engine have 100% efficiency? So the general answer is always yes. If there is no friction, then the efficiency can be 100%. No need of answering in this way. Heat can never be completely converted into work. Please remember this fact. As an automobile engineer, you should understand this fact. There is no way by which you can produce an engine which will be 100% efficient. Okay, so this is the first thing you must learn, you must understand. Okay, so no engine.
ওকে স্যার,
Okay,
স্যার বলছিলাম যে লো গ্রেড এনার্জি আর হাই গ্রেড এনার্জি এটা কোনটা স্যার?
low grade energy means generally depending on the mutual convertibility. That means low grade energies cannot be completely converted into high grade energies. Example of low grade energies is heat. Okay, heat transfer is an example of low grade energy. Examples
Okay,
of
sir.
high grade energies are work, kinetic energy, potential energy, electrical energy. They are the examples of high grade energies. Okay,
ওকে ওকে স্যার, ওকে ওকে স্যার।
So now we will be discussing the concept of heat engines. So what is heat engine? Here you can see a, a system which is maintained at a temperature TH, and there is a system which is maintained at a temperature TC. So obviously the temperature of this system is greater than the temperature of this system. H indicates hot, C indicates cold. So what will happen if you place two bodies having different temperatures? Heat will be flowing from the high temperature to the low temperature. This is the simplest thing. Heat will be flowing from the high temperature to the low temperature. Now, if you are able to use this heat energy by placing an engine, okay, by placing an engine. This engine, what is the principle of this engine? This engine will receive this heat transfer as its input. That means it will receive some amount of input, say QH. And what is the principle of engine? What will an engine do? It will give you some work. It will give you some mechanical power so that you can use this work. Right? So I have already told you that there are some energies which we can use, and there are some energies which cannot be used. Okay. So the mechanical form of energy, the electricity, the work, is the form of energy which can be used. Okay. So this heat engine will convert the heat input into work. And I have already told you so many times, complete conversion is impossible. So there will be some amount of heat rejection always. And you can say this heat rejection is QC. So how you can do the energy balance? So this is your input. QH was the heat received by the heat engine from this hot body or hot system. Okay. And what is happened to this energy? How this energy is being utilized? Some amount of work is being generated or transferred, and the rest part is being rejected to this system. Okay. Now generally in case of thermodynamics, we consider that this system has infinite thermal capacity. That means it has infinite thermal energy stored within it, so that it can transfer the heat energy always, endlessly. Okay. It can transfer the heat energy to you, so that this heat engine can be operated in a cyclic manner. Okay. So this is the basic principles of heat engine. Now you know this is your input, and the energy which you are using is this one. So this is your input. This is your input, and this part is nothing but what you are obtaining as the output. So efficiency always depends on these two factors, input and output. So what will be the efficiency? Efficiency of the heat engine, this will be equal to W by QH. Okay. Right? Clear? Clear? Is that clear? Do you have any questions? Okay. So what will happen if you need to do the opposite thing? What will happen if we wish to do the opposite thing? That means the general consideration is that heat will flow from the hot body to the cold body. But if our wish is to transfer this heat from the cold body to the hot body, that means I will transfer it to this system, and this system would be transferring this heat to the hot body. Then how it is achievable? How we can achieve this? We need to give an external work. Okay, in case of heat engines, external work was produced, but when we are reversing the direction, we need to provide some amount of external work, and this system is called as heat pump, or you can call as refrigerator. Okay, so when the heat pump is generally considered with this high temperature heat. Suppose this is QH and this is QC. So heat pump will be always considered about this QH, whereas refrigerator will be considered, will be worried about this low temperature heat, which we call as QC. Okay, any questions?
No, sir.
Do you have any questions, or we can end this session here?
No, sir. No question.
No question. So is this session helping you understanding the facts?
Yes, sir.
শিওরলি নাকি এমনি এমনি মন রাখার জন্য বলছিস?
না স্যার, মনে রাখার জন্য স্যার, শিওরলি
আচ্ছা,
ক্লিয়ার হচ্ছে। এটা তো এর আগেও আমরা কলেজে করেছি, এবার এটা তো আরো ক্লিয়ার হয়ে যাচ্ছে বিষয়টা।
হুম।